Hello everyone. I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today I am going to talk about a book I really enjoyed called The Scent of Sake. And this book is by Joyce Lebra. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. If I'm not, I'm really sorry. This particular book is another book that I read while on the writing journey of writing Geisha Hands. Geisha Hands took me a total of 5 years to complete. However, I began writing it back in 2008. Even far more than the 3 years that I took of intensive reading and researching and writing for the manuscript. I was writing on and off and reading things on and off for that manuscript, and this book is one of them. The Scent of Sake is a historical fiction novel specifically about the sake business in Japan. The main character is Rie, and she is the daughter of a businessman who creates sake, and their business is very successful. However, her personal life goal, she's very passionate about it, is that she wants to see her father's sake business become the #1 rated sake. And this is a big thing in Japanese culture, is that everything is rated. So there's like constantly this, like, think of like school, like especially in elementary school back when you would have those little charts of like, I don't know, like the mile run. I mean, maybe they don't do these anymore. They did when I was a little kid, but anyway, you know, the little charts where it's like, oh, this person had the fastest score for the mile run, and then, you know, this person and that person or whatever, this person had the highest test score, and then this person, and all that. So, you know, those kind of lists where it's, you can see who ranks where. That is a huge thing in Japanese culture, just across the board, in like all the industries. In my other videos where I talk about geisha and stuff like that, they have a rating system based on how much money they make, and they always know who the #1 earner is. Like, that's just a thing that everybody always knows. And so the same thing is in this story, is that based on sales, they always know who is #1 and #2 and so on and so forth. That is her goal for her father's sake business, is she wants to eventually get their business to be #1. And what I thought was really interesting that I learned about, I don't know if other businesses or other parts of Japanese culture are like this, but specifically in this book, in the sake business, is that there is a thing where if the firstborn child of the family is a girl, that they will have a man from another sake brewing family marry her. I'm sorry, like not marry her as a girl, like marry her as a woman. Sorry for the confusion. If the firstborn child is a woman, and when she becomes of marrying age, she will marry a man from another family, specifically in the sake business, and he will come to live with her family. So it's kind of like a reverse thing, which is kind of cool. But specifically, it's this idea of, let's say a family, their firstborn is a boy, and they have other sons, the next in line. So let's say maybe they have 3 sons. They'll probably marry off the 3rd son to like the daughter of another sake family and have him come live with her. So that's kind of how it worked. It was like, you know, a kid that's like not going to be next in line to be the next owner of the family sake business. They would go send him off to another family sake business and marry the firstborn girl of that family. So we have that kind of dynamic going on, and that's what's going to happen to Rie. Is her husband is going to come from another family, and he's going to be like, you know, obviously not the firstborn boy, and he's going to come and live with her. So she gets to stay with her family, which honestly in any sort of patriarchal society is just like, wow. The fact that she gets to stay with her family and live in her family home her whole life, that she doesn't have to leave and have to learn an entire new family's traditions and rules and all that stuff and deal with a mother-in-law treating her like crap. And that's not just tee-hee, a funny joke thing we have here in the West. No, in Asian culture, that is part of the hazing process as a new bride. The mother-in-law treats you like crap. It's to literally break your spirit and mold you into what the family wants you to be. So they are literally treated like crap by the mother of the household that they marry into. So the fact that she doesn't have to go through any of that is amazing. And so the story is about her and that she just lives and breathes sake. She loves everything about sake. She loves everything about the brewing process, and she like is just so into it. And both her and her father are just so sad that she was born a woman instead of a guy, because if she were a man, like, whoa, she would be like super duper talented businessman, gonna be so amazing, this is so great. But because she's a woman, she can't be in charge of anything. So basically her family, their goal is they want to find a husband for her that's from a good standing influential family, because of all of that sort of stuff with marriage back then had nothing to do with liking each other. It had everything to do with power and connections and wealth and all that stuff. But also they wanted her to marry somebody that they knew that she would be able to control, is not the right word, but she's clearly the talented business person here. And we want to make sure that the husband is listening to what she's going to tell him, is kind of the idea. So they go out and they try to find her a suitable dude that they think is going to do a good job taking over the business and taking her seriously and stuff like that. But the problem is that she loves this other dude. But the problem is that there's no way that she can marry him because he's the firstborn boy in his family. So that's off the table. But she loves him. And so that is a constant thing throughout this book, is her just being really sad that she has to be the wife of this other guy and not the guy that she loves. And it's not just because she doesn't love the husband, because she loves this other guy. Unfortunately, she gets married off to this guy that is just, I'm sorry, but the best way I can describe him is a doodle head. For those of y'all that know me personally, that is a thing that I use, the word doodle head. It just basically means a person that is just really stupid and irritating and just somebody you just cannot take seriously, and they're just constantly messing everything up and just making everyone around them miserable with just their absolute sheer incompetence. This guy encompasses, he's number one grade A doodle head, okay? That is who this guy is. And it's this struggle of that, you know, this guy feels very emasculated, having to be married off and, you know, to this family, and basically kind of being treated like the wife, essentially. So she's very strong. She's very in charge. She's very like, all right, this is how we're going to do things, da da da. And he's like, I'm the husband. You have to listen to me. Oobity doo. And she's like, no, I don't. And her parents are like, you kind of have to just pretend. And he's like, listen to me. And he's just annoying and horrible throughout the entire story. Like, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't laugh, but like, just the way he's presented in the story is just so just like, just the whole time. And it's really frustrating. And you really feel for Rie, because this guy is just a piece of work. And so you go in this journey with her, basically trying to be like, all right, this is the card I got dealt. I got to make the best of it. And she's still working really hard toward meeting her goal of getting her father's sake business to number one sake business, and just all of the burdens that she has to carry and all of the hurdles that she has to somehow overcome. And so many of them are because she's a woman. And there's just so much stuff that she just can't do directly because she's a woman. So she learns how to, and I know this is going to sound negative, she has to manipulate the men around her in order to make things happen. And so I know that's a negative word, but I mean it in the sense of that she has to kind of do the thing where she makes it seem like it was their idea, that sort of thing, where like she actually knows what the correct answer is and what they business-wise need to do, but the men around her are all being stupid. And she has to basically be like, hey, you know, it'd be really cool is if you did this thing. But I mean, you know, it's up to you. You're the man. You're in charge. You know, that whole sort of thing. She has to play that song and dance. And, you know, we go through the story with her. She has kids and we watch those kids grow up, and we watch her son eventually take over the family business, and dealing with that dynamic of her son feeling kind of emasculated in that he's like, Mom, you just need to let me be in charge. You just need to let me make decisions. And she's like, you're not ready yet. And he's like, I'm an adult. I'm so ready. And all of that. And I don't want to give y'all any spoilers because this is such a great story. It's really entertaining. It has a lot of feels in it. And honestly, I learned so much about the sake business, about how, everything that goes into brewing sake, about everything that goes into the distribution of sake and all of that. And on top of that, this is during a very important time period in Japan, in that this is when they leave the isolationism era. And what that means is there was a time period in Japan where they cut themselves off from the entire world. There was like basically no in or out. Like, there was nobody coming to Japan. There was nobody leaving Japan. There was like hardly any trade with people in Japan. And slowly over time, they were like, all right, we need to grow as a country. And in order to do that, we need to open up and trade with other countries, and whatever comes with that comes with that. And so we also get to see that during this time period. And this is also the time period when we go from Edo and Miyako to Tokyo and Kyoto. And that's really cool too. So it's in that time period when Japan is like opening itself up to the world and it's starting to modernize. And just for frame of reference, when I say modernize, like, we're not talking about like the 1950s post World War modernize. We're talking about like way before then. We're talking about like post shogunate feudal era Japan. That's like the level of modernity that we're talking about here. So it's a really cool time period to read about this in, because we're still very much in traditional Japan, that like this is what the people think about when they think about Japan and Japanese culture. But it's also this really cool turning point, and this modernization and leaving isolationism really impacts the family business and how they go about things and breaking with certain traditions and stuff. And it's such a good read, y'all. I highly recommend it, and I hope that y'all enjoy it. And if y'all have read this book, please tell me in the comments what was your favorite part of this book and who was your favorite character. I can't wait to hear from y'all. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like, and if you're new, subscribe. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.